Joining us now to expand on what could take place, the former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and CIA Director under Trump 1. Mr. Secretary, what do you think happens on Friday?
Well, Brian, I'm most interested in actually what happens these next 4 or 5 days. It will be absolutely fascinating to see as President Trump continues to apply pressure against Vladimir Putin. He has already achieved something. President Biden was completely irrelevant. Putin was rolling. He lost deterrence, and Putin took a significant piece of Ukraine, which he didn't do under President Trump. And so these next days in the lead up to the meeting, I think you'll see lots of activity. I think you'll see lots of blustering from both sides, from the Ukrainians and the Russians. But President Trump has the chance to sit face to face with Vladimir Putin and make clear this is over. You've got to end this. The terms aren't going to be exactly the ones you want. We need a ceasefire, and then we can resolve all the hard problems that remain in front of us. But you cannot continue to do what you've been doing, killing innocent civilians and taking over 20,000 Ukrainian kids.
That's an unbelievable stat that really gets the president's attention. By the way, Gallup did a poll of the Ukrainian people. In 2022, they asked them, what would you like a settlement to be like? They said they favored Ukraine fighting until victory. 73% wanted that. Now, 69% say they favor a negotiated end to the war because they've been taking a lot, as well as they've been fighting, they've been taking a lot of abuse from the Russians. Just now with the drones, they're doing real damage to civilian locations. I want you to hear what Senator Lindsey Graham said about how this could end up.
Ukraine's not going to evict every Russian, and Russia's not going to Kyiv. So there'll be some land swaps at the end. But what would a good deal look like? Make sure that 2022 doesn't happen again. On Biden's watch and Obama's watch, Russia invades. The goal for me, and I think President Trump, is to end it forever.
Right. So to end it forever, what does that look like, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, I think Senator Graham has that largely right. As I wrote about this months ago, we're not going to get all of this land back to Ukraine immediately. This is a long-term proposition. So you have to get the ceasefire. You have to stop the killing. You talked about the polling inside of Ukraine. I'll bet if you polled the Russian moms who'd lost their kids, they'd be damn tired of this too, Brian. And so I hope we can find the method that President Trump can restore the deterrence. We can put a security architecture in place, Europeans leading, Europeans funding it, a security architecture in place that gives us, I don't know if it's forever, but 25 more years where Vladimir Putin or the next Russian leader doesn't take another chunk of Europe. This is what President Trump is really good at. I'm confident he'll make a step towards that on Friday. And I'm very, very hopeful we can deliver an outcome that is really good, not just for Ukraine, but I remind you all the time, bro, this is really good for America. If Europe is seen to have ceded ground to Russian aggression, woe be unto America. It will be a very difficult time, and Xi Jinping in China is watching this as well.
Do you also believe that the 100% tariff or whatever it is on India, who's buying cheap Russian oil to fund that war machine, does that been communicated from Modi to Putin? Hey, Vladimir, end this thing. It's going to cost us money.
Yeah, this is going to be very expensive for the Indians. I hope President Trump will begin to enforce that immediately. Friday, August 8th was the day. I hope he'll start to enforce that, not just against the Indians, against everyone who's buying this cheap, discounted Russian oil. So I know it's complicated with the Chinese Communist Party, but they are a real adversary, and we ought to impose these sanctions against them, against the Brazilians, against everyone who is using this sanctions regime to their benefit. We can't let them get away with this. We have to put pressure on the Russian economy. We know how to do this. We did it against the Iranians in Trump 1. President Trump can do it against the Russians now and put real pressure on Putin to get the ceasefire that President Trump wants and a good outcome for the United States of America.
And what you always tell me is try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So Vladimir Putin got it. KGB, understand it. But it's not to his advantage to alienate Trump for the next 3.5 years. If he decides to come with nothing but accept his 5 ridiculous demands, which we all know about, it'll make Trump look bad. And then again, you'll sit there marginalized from the Western world for the next 3.5 years, and who knows who's the next president is. I want to bring up something else that used to be, and that is CIA director. Now, all of a sudden, we got this story about what what Brennan and Comey and Obama and Biden were up to back in 2016. We found it annexed on the Durham report that was very revelatory about what was really taking place back then. Here's Tulsi Gabbard.
Over 100 documents that we released on Friday really detail and provide evidence of how this treasonous conspiracy was directed by President Obama just weeks before he was due to leave office, after President Trump had already gotten elected. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue that is so serious it should concern every single American, because it has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic.
Do you have any idea that your predecessor, along with James Comey, the FBI director, were up to the antics that it's been revealed over the last few months?
Oh, of course. Look, there have been a few new documents, but conceptually, there's nothing new here. Folks have been writing about this, including me in my book, talking about how this was a Hillary Clinton dossier, Hillary Clinton political effort, that the intelligence community was treated poorly, mostly by Comey and Brennan, the senior political operatives, that there were people in the agency that I ran, that I spoke to when I was the director, who communicated clearly to me that they had had pressure put on them in those weeks between the election and President Trump taking office, to put out this thing that became known as the ICA, which included a dossier which the intelligence professionals knew was not up to intelligence standards. And so I think it is absolutely the case that there was a political hit job inside the intelligence committee led by both Comey and Brennan. And I leave it to this administration to decide what to do about how to hold those leaders accountable.
Would it bother you if they got away with it?
The fact that we're calling them out, we're talking about it here, seems important to me for the American people. It would bother me. Anytime somebody politicizes intelligence and there is not a cost to be paid, there's no accountability associated with it, it bothers me greatly.
Mr. Secretary, it was great to catch up with you. Thanks so much. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian.
You got it. Talk to you soon.
Have a good